accidentally added to a group chat on Signal where Trump's administration was discussing attacking Yemen. And let me just say, as a journalist and as a general political observer, this is one of the strangest stories that I have ever heard. Okay, so boom. Goldberg looks at his notifications and realizes he's in the middle of a group chat of the most important members of Trump's cabinet regarding national security decisions. Because it turns out, in all of his wisdom and technological competence, Mike Waltz accidentally added him thinking that he was somebody else. Now, Goldberg, as a journalist, is in the middle of a group chat where they're discussing attacking Yemen hours before it happens. And as a journalist, any real journalist, bro, you're foaming at the mouth to report this news. I mean, they weren't just discussing Yemen. There was actually an ongoing debate where J.D. Vance was challenging the idea that attacking Yemen was actually in the best interest of the United States, or was it in the best interest of other people who had nothing to do with the United States and had nothing to contribute if we did successfully attack Yemen? Yeah, in other words, J.D. Vance was effectively saying, yeah, I know Israel wants us to do this, but I don't see how this really helps us. I mean, and the fact that J.D. Vance had to have that conversation in the group chat because he probably was scared to have it privately is news in and of itself. But no, Goldberg finding out the news that the United States was going to attack Yemen and that there was a whole debate about it on March 15th, hours before the attack took place, decided to wait until March 24th to break the news, and only really wanted to do so to say that there's a massive security breach and they're texting in a signal app that you can download on your phone. That's the real story. And you have people like Ian Bremer saying that you got to give props to Goldberg for his high standards of professional journalism because he immediately left and informed a relevant senior official and made the public aware without disclosing intelligence that could damage the United States. See, we got two different definitions of a professional journalist, because a real professional journalist in a situation like that is just gonna sit back, be quiet, be a fly on the wall, and report everything that happens in that group chat anonymously from whatever publication they can. But instead, the man goes and dry snitches on himself to the Trump administration. And do you know how he gets rewarded for being a good little imperialist Zionist lapdog? The Trump administration basically comes out in full force and attacks him. When Trump gets asked about the leaks during a press conference, he's like, I don't know anything about it. Not a big fan of the Atlantic. Heard it's a magazine that's going out of business. Oh, hold on. What did you say? Just immediately insults the dude and insults the Atlantic magazine.
Your reaction to the story in the Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Right. Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
Pete Hegseth said that Goldberg has mischaracterized the situation and that nobody was texting war plans, despite the fact that we all saw the text of the war plan.
Those details shared on Signal, and how did you learn that a journalist was privy to the targets, the types of weapons used?
I've heard I was characterized. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Right, Thank you.
Now, as a journalist who would have loved to be in a situation like that, I was curious as to why Goldberg would be so adamant about not reporting this information until weeks after it actually mattered. Yeah, so it turns out that Goldberg at one point actually left an Ivy League university to go be part of the IDF and be a prison guard, where he admitted in his memoirs that he helped cover up serious prisoner abuse. As another revealing testament to his journalistic credibility, he allowed, as editor-in-chief, the publication of an article called The Great Fake Child Sex Trafficking Epidemic. In 2021, after the Epstein trials. Oh, and here's a picture of the owner of the Atlantic hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell, but I'm sure the two have absolutely nothing to do with each other. So like, Goldberg, what did you gain from this? Because now you're just about to be a pariah for the Trump administration and lose all access. Any journalist with a single iota of self-respect for their craft will no longer take you seriously after snitching on yourself instead of riding that train. And I don't know if Trump was telling the truth about the Atlantic possibly going out of business, but now everybody's spending the entire day exposing your ass because you opened your mouth looking for attention 10 days later instead of saying what should have been said when you got the information. So you're probably going out of business sometime soon because ain't nobody going to take y'all seriously anymore. Let this be a lesson to all of y'all. If you want to avoid a train wreck like this shit in the future, don't be like Jeff Goldberg. Report the news when it's supposed to be reported, not when you think it's the most convenient for your Zionist convictions. So, y'all, this whole situation is nuts because, so you got to think about, first of all, the context of Trump's response. The context of Trump's response, where he's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. Goldberg admits, he admits that he informed the White House staff immediately. So like, you did know what they were talking about. Why they like their reaction was so odd. Like, bro, this is the most defensive, childish reaction. What are you talking about? They're like, that's a magazine to me. It's going out of business. Fuck those guys. I don't know what you're talking. Oh, but what'd you say? Sorry, it was about what? Why are you so defensive about them if you didn't even hear the question supposedly, and if you don't know what they're talking about? No, I couldn't believe. Well, no, I could, but I couldn't believe how Biden-esque that reaction was. You know, because basically Trump has been becoming the very person he spent 4 years or so insulting. Like, that's a gate if I've ever heard one. Especially because, bro, you know, if they're asking about the Atlantic and the White House staff has already been privy that he got this in, because it wasn't like we found out a couple of days ago. Us, not them. They been new, and nobody game plan for this shit. No, you're trying to tell me, y'all, that no one thought it would be a bright idea to sit down. You know, they already got a group chat. Shit, maybe you could did in the group chat. At least that wouldn't be classified information. But nobody thought it would be a bright idea to sit down, have a conversation. Yo, how are we going to deal with this? Because he's going to come out with this information. And even though it won't put any lives in danger because he won't come out with it until after, because he's a Zionist imperialist lapdog, like, this is going to be a media firestorm. This is going to be a shitstorm. No one thought it was a bright idea because everybody's response is contradicting. Some people are denying shit. Like, I'm like, hold up. You telling me that y'all didn't even see, y'all ain't got no staff guys? Like with Hexeth and Tulsi and others who were like, what do you mean? There was no like specifics given. You mean except for the super specific shit? And we're going to look at some of the stuff that was said, especially from the day, because I'm telling you guys, I was a paralegal in the military. And anybody who knows how the military works, like if you're a nurse, yeah, you're basically a doctor. You just don't get to pay. Same thing with paralegal. When you're a paralegal, you're basically the lawyer. You just have to do all the work and you get none of the pay. And if something messes up, then all the responsibility is still on you. Yeah, great stuff. That's one of the reasons I got out. But in all seriousness, I saw someone go, I had to sit through, I was part of it, an Article 32 hearing, which is like basically the proceedings right before you try to kick somebody out if they're an officer, and for conduct unbecoming. And it was because he accidentally sent a photo of himself with his shirt off to his wife through his encrypted email instead of his regular email. It was like, just, you know, he was tired of shit. It was like super late. And they tried to kick this man out the military for it, saying it jeopardized national security. And they tried to strip him of his security clearance for that. He didn't even send any information. Had nothing to do with the mission whatsoever. Just because he sent an encrypted, it was like the justification was his wife knew his encrypted email now, and his wife could leak, like, but if it's encrypted, it shouldn't even matter. But that's a whole different conversation. And I'm looking through all this, and I know, like, I got family and friends who've been in the military or are in the military or worked in intelligence, and they're like, or know people who've been kicked out or penalized for worse or for less, and they're like, bro, there ain't no fucking way. There is no way. Because what we're hearing, what we're going to listen to is not only are they leaking the sensitive information, right? Leaking what I, like, under any normal circumstance would be considered classified information, but they're committing perjury while they lied. They got it in front of Congress, and they're like, what are you talking about? We didn't leak shit. We didn't say that. We didn't do that. There were no specifics given. There was no sensitive information given. What? It's like, y'all do know we can see this shit, right? Y'all do know we can literally see the messages. And it's, that said, it seemed like there was no game plan involved, but whatever. So I want to read you guys the most recent updates, because, like I said, Goldberg, I guess that he didn't really like the way they responded. Like I said, he was a good little lapdog, man. I guess he thought that the Trump administration was going to look out for him. Yeah, nah. Instead, they all threw him under the bus. They were like, nah, fuck that guy. So he was like, oh, word, that's how it's going to go down? Well, I'm going to drop some more information. But once again, like a good little lapdog, he got permission first. And I really don't think that he understands how being a journalist works, bro. When you get the information, because I feel like, before we read this, I feel like, as a journalist, I know that I'm aware of, like, all the perils of being a journalist. I'm aware of that. Which is why, like, if you're going to drop this shit, you might as well do it in the most stand-up way possible, like with the most journalistic integrity possible. Because either way, you could end up hemmed up, even if you didn't do anything illegal, right? What did WikiLeaks do? They published information that they received, that's not illegal. It's not unethical. It's actually what you're supposed to do as a journalist. As a publisher, you're not supposed to be held liable, but they tried to do that anyway, or to some degree they did with Julian Assange, right? Everybody named Mama right now in the Trump administration are trying to claim that none of this was classified, none of this is sensitive, blah, 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 didn't jeopardize the mission, et cetera, et cetera. So what you're saying is, if you would have leaked it before, not classified, not sensitive, even though it actually could have, given the Houthis a tactical advantage. But they're saying, so technically speaking, he would have gotten off scot-free, or he should have gotten off scot-free based off of their definition of classified, which is completely moved in my time, since my time out of the military, apparently. So, but look at what he then drops today. It's going to be hard for y'all to see, so I'm going to read it to you. So he says, team establishing a principles group. Yes. A Houthi PC smoker. Bro, even with that Houthi PC smoker, even the name of the motherfucker, y'all couldn't even be kind of creative with the name so it don't look like y'all talking about some sensitive shit. But hey, whatever. Team, Mike Waltz. Establishing a principles group for coordination on Houthis. Particularly, remember how they said it was super general? Clearly it's particularly for the next 72 hours. My deputy Alex Wong is pulling together a tiger team of deputies, agency chief of staff level, following up the meeting in the sit room this morning for action items, and we'll be sending that out later this evening. Please provide the best staff POC from your team for us to coordinate with over the next couple of days in the weekend. Yeah, man. Oh man, this is okay. So hold on. This is the thing that is most interesting to me. These texts right here. Because this is a continuation of what we saw in the first group of messages, where J.D. Vance was openly challenging the idea that this had nothing to do with the U.S. interest. It doesn't help us. And it seemed like he was doing so in the group because he didn't want to say it to Trump's face, and he wanted to get a feel on how the group felt so that he didn't have to challenge Trump by himself. And so it seems to be a few people in this group are feeling this way, right? So there is nothing time sensitive driving this line. We'll have we'll have the exact same options in a month. The Israelis will likely take strikes and therefore ask us for more support to replenish whatever they use against the Houthis. But that's a minor factor. It's always a minor factor, right? I will send you the unclassified data we pulled on BAM shipping. From CIA perspective, we are mobilized. First of all, if you just don't say no. CIA, y'all whole job is to be secret. This motherfucker, hey man, so like from a CIA super important intelligence perspective that no one is supposed to be knowing about, but we're gonna say, I just want to make sure everybody knows it's the CIA talking right now. We are mobilizing assets to support now, but a delay would not negatively impact us. Additional time would be used to identify better starting points for coverage on Houthi leadership. Oh, by the way, did y'all hear about Jackson Hinkle being with the Houthis in Yemen right before the Houthi leader was killed? I don't know. Just putting that information out there. So Hegseth says, it's Hegseth, y'all. Because remember what J.D. Vance said. He said it's not really in America's interest. And he doesn't see how this materially helps the U.S. by attacking the Houthis right now. I understand your concerns and fully support your raising the concerns with the president. Important considerations, most of which are tough to know how they play out: economy, Ukraine, peace, God, etc. I think messaging is going to be tough no matter what. Nobody knows who the Houthis are, which is why we would need to stay focused on one. Biden failed. Yeah, I mean, that's a very, very general duh. I don't know. What does that mean? Like, failed at what? Destroying the Houthis? Because that's like the only thing you can really, I mean, he failed at everything. So it's like, if you're doing targeted messaging, I'm not really sure what you're trying to say there, but that's generally how sycophants, that's generally the messaging that sycophants would chew on. So I guess that's like maybe his point. I don't know. But two, which is the most interesting one, Iran funded. So this is Pete Hegseth saying this, which is why we need to focus on one, Biden failed, and two, Iran funded. That's so what is the messaging on this? Because he's not Hegseth. Let me finish reading this and let me explain why that shit is so sinister. So he says, waiting a few weeks or a month does not fundamentally change the calculus. Two, immediate risk on waiting. This leaks and we look indecisive. Sorry. Irony, right? Israel takes an action first. He said that's a risk. So there are people within the administration who actually don't even want Israel to react. Don't want Israel involved. Don't want Israel to do anything in this situation. Okay? Or Gaza ceasefire falls apart. And we don't get to start this on our own terms. We can manage both. Spoiler alert. They did not manage both successfully. All right, we are prepared to execute. And if I had final go or no go vote, I believe we should. This is not about Houthis. I repeat, Pete Hegseth admits this is not about Houthis. He says, I see this as two things: restoring freedom of navigation, a core national interest, and reestablish deterrence, which Biden cratered. What deterrent? What deterrent? Ladies and gentlemen, what is he talking about? What deterrent? Okay, so do you know what is most sinister about Hegseth, former Fox News contributor, in his true propagandist form. He admits that all that, y'all remember how they ran headline after headline? Because we were like, why? I know why y'all are attacking the Houthis, but like, why? Like, I know why, but why now? Basically is where I was at with it. Because remember, they did try to attack the Houthis a couple years, well, last year, I think, in a couple years, basically when all this started. They tried to attack the Houthis. It did not go well. The U.S. tried to form a coalition to take them down. Everybody was like, "Yeah, you can deal with that shit yourself. We not getting involved because they out here busting people's ass." Remember, didn't work out well. So, in the middle of a ceasefire deal, why would you all of a sudden have this idea that it's beneficial to the United States or anybody involved to attack the Houthis, especially when other people in the chat are like, this doesn't really benefit us. I'm not really sure why we're doing this. And so Hegseth is like basically acknowledging, the messaging would be difficult. Why would the messaging be difficult? That would be the next question. Why would the messaging be difficult? Oh, because nobody knows who the Houthis are. Okay, also, why won't you just say it's about freedom of navigation? Oh, because then you would have to explain to people why the Houthis are impeding navigation. Why are they impeding navigation to Israel? Because Israel is still committing a genocide. Okay, yeah, most of the country doesn't agree with that, including MAGA. Right? Yeah, there's a sycophants online, but the majority of the country does not agree with that. So you would then have to explain why the Houthis, the quote unquote terrorists, are somehow the terrorists, and why you are protecting the country. Why are you doing the dirty work of the country that's still committing a genocide? Yeah, I imagine that messaging wouldn't land well. So he decides to fearmonger and say that we're doing this because of Iran. Think about that. You're willing to stoke the flames of war with one of the most powerful countries in the world militarily for messaging? For messaging. You don't even really believe Iran's a threat. You did not attack the Houthis because they were funded. But because Americans, the average American has been conditioned to hear Iran funded must be a terrorist. So that's why they do that. Right? That's why they say, really, when it's really the United States funded, it's definitely a terrorist. But that's what they say. And that's how they know people have been trained to react. So he lied. The Biden failed. I don't even understand, like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, did he fail to take out all the Houthis? They still haven't taken out all the Houthis. You might have taken out a leader, but like, they got other people, I'm sure. But all of that led to at least 25 civilians being killed, including 4 children. Right? So you admit it wasn't in national interest. We also know that they did not want Israel to attack or react, which is kind of weird and strange because none of them say anything like this out in the open. None of them have said anything close to that. I mean, J.D. Vance always talks about Europe like, kind of sucking the teeth of the United States. Like, that's kind of a talking point for him. But for him, it's kind of almost, I guess, somewhat refreshing to know that he actually has that. That's not a talking point for him. He actually believes that. He believes like we shouldn't be paying for Europe's whatever version of imperialism they're pushing. Like, he doesn't want us to pay their bills. And I agree with that. And it was almost like I said, surprising and refreshing to see that he actually does feel that way. And was willing to challenge people in the group on it. And other people agree with him. But like, that's not the message from everybody else that we got whenever they decided to attack the Houthis. They instead decided to fearmonger. They lied. Bro, so basically we're learning, even though Jeff Goldberg is a fucking coward, he should have released this hours. I'm trying to tell you, bro, y'all wouldn't even have known it was me until probably like several months later. Because I would have leaked it I wouldn't have leaked it through my own media source. I'll tell you that. Can't do that because everybody would probably figure it out. But I would leak it to somebody. And I would be like, but y'all give me the credit. And y'all gonna have to. Now, don't give me the credit now, but whenever I come public, don't be trying to play me now. Okay? So I'm gonna chill here like a fly on the wall, like I said. You said what time? And y'all gonna use what weapons? And you don't even believe this is really gonna help us? For real? Damn, word. Until they kick me out, or until they figure it out. And I would have been sitting to outlet to outlet to outlet. And it would have been hard for them to figure out who was doing. I would look. That type of info, because I would have got it, bro. You get that out quick. I'm just, as a journalist, you get that out quick. You don't pull yourself out the group chat and snitch on yourself to the White House. Yeah, I'm telling on myself. I don't, you know me, I don't. Everybody knows what I'm gonna tell. As a journalist, it's your job to snitch. And especially as an anti-imperialist, it's definitely my job it's my job to snitch as a journalist. Y'all know I'm 100% against snitching, but as on a political tip, no, snitching is cool, guys. Snitching is cool when you're a journalist. But in all seriousness, like, we saw that these people don't even believe the bullshit. We know that they didn't believe the bullshit, but we got an inside look that there are situations where people, because from the text messages that we saw before and what we saw today that got released, and I'm gonna pull y'all up really quick. The interview, or one of the interviews that Jeff Goldberg did talking about this. But from what we saw, we see that, oh shit, you telling me everybody can know that this is actually counterproductive actually to United States interests. Oh, they know that Israel is a problem. They're aware of it. Yes, do we know that? Yeah, but we saw it in action. We saw it leading up. We saw it being discussed in the planning before the attacks on the Houthis. They knew that Israel is unpredictable, problematic, could be a potential danger to American interests. They know that this primarily and principally only benefits Europe and Israel. In the other text messages, they were like, we have to hope that we get some benefit from this later on from Europe, because we're really not getting anything from doing this right now. That they said that. And yet they went along with the attack anyway. And Hegseth came up with a way to justify it to the American people and lie. And I remember that day seeing, you know how the propagandists do. Well, those are Iran funded. The Shapiros of the world. All the cultists, Iran funded. How many times do we hear that on the days of the attacks against Yemen? Iran funded. Operation Mockingbird. But like if what you're doing is good, I'm not okay. No, I won't say like if what you're doing is good, everybody will get them. But like, you don't worry about messaging really if what you're doing is right. You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't. I'm saying in Israel, bro. I'm sorry. Like, sorry, we're not going to support genocide, because most Americans, we cool with not giving aid anyway. Right? Most of us are like if you want to get, because we know what our aid is going to for the most part, and it's nothing good. But we got our own problems at home. Like during the pandemic, we had to fight to get a couple $1,000s of our own goddamn money that we gave them to use. Break glass in case of emergency, bitch. I need the money. We had to fight to get our own money. So we damn sure don't want to go out the country, but especially not to support a genocide. If that was your message, then you wouldn't have really had to worry about it. But like, you had to lie because you knew your message was shit. Y'all didn't have a justification. Not really. And so this is the anti-war. This is the pro-peace administration. This is the administration, because y'all got it kind of right on Russia and Ukraine. Still haven't really figured that out. Not really, but you got it kind of right on Russia and Ukraine. Marco Rubio's over here talking about, so we have a president that's supporting peace and pro-peace. Y'all are getting it wrong in literally every other aspect of international policy, and coming up with inventive ways to lie about why you're going to war and why you're bombing civilians and why you're attacking people trying to prevent and stand up to genocide. You're lying about it. You are Biden. So you're Biden minus Russia. Yes, we know the Biden fucking mafia family ran the Ukraine situation. That's the only difference. I'm sure at this point, if Trump was running that situation, if he had a bunch of shit invested, it would look the same. I'm convinced at this point, because they're not even making policy decisions based on U.S. interests. They admitted it. They can't even really give you a prediction on if it will positively or negatively impact us. Come on, bro. What are we talking about? Let's check out a quick clip from Goldberg's perspective.
We are breaking here with breaking news about the security breach, where the Atlantic magazine's Jeffrey Goldberg was added to a text thread about U.S. military plans to strike Houthi militias in Yemen. Well, the administration officials involved, who are among the highest ranking in the U.S. government, insist no classified information was shared. Moments ago, a follow-up. Goldberg posted a follow-up piece entitled, "Here are the attack plans that Trump's advisors shared on Signal." He writes in part this: the statements by Hegseth, Gabbard, Ratcliffe, and Trump combined.
I just got to say, like, when he selected the name of that article, that was to be petty. That was entirely to be petty. He's like, because everybody was saying what? There was no attack discussed. There were no plans discussed. That's a lie. He's like, yeah, so anyway, here are all the attack plans that were discussed. You lying motherfuckers. Y'all not about to leave me out here to dry. Gonna cut me off and then try to set me up. Oh, bro, I love when the empire be fighting with themselves.
With the assertions made by numerous administration officials that we are lying about the context of the Signal texts have led us to believe that people should see the texts in order to reach their own conclusions, and then laid out in this latest piece, which broke just now in The Atlantic, Jonathan Lemire. Everyone can see the text for themselves.
Yeah, the screenshots of the text are included in this piece that Jeffrey Goldberg and Shane Harris just posted on the Atlantic's website. We'll go through a little bit of it now. The White House, as you just mentioned, has insisted time and again two things: that nothing in here was classified and that no war plans were included. Well, as Jeffrey and Shane write, take a look for yourself. I'll read a little bit of it here. These are texts from Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, talking about at 11:44 Eastern that day, weather is favorable. Just confirmed with CENTCOM, we're a go for mission launch. 12:15 texts in this chat. F-18's launch, declares this the first strike package. At 1:45, talks about how the trigger-based strike window begins. Target terrorist is at known location. As here we are here. Second strike at 15:36. More to follow. We're currently clean on OPSEC. Of course, Secretary of Defense.
Y'all, I cannot begin to explain to y'all. I'm laughing because I know somebody literally was laughing but pissed because they accidentally sent some shit to the wrong email the other day and got him the fuck up. And they're high ranking and they're like, bro, like they over here threatening to kick me out because it got resolved. But like he's like, they're threatening me to kick me out over some shit, and it wasn't even secret information that I sent. Like, but it was just sensitive, and they were talking about kicking me out. And they're like, yeah, no, this isn't classified. What? Oh, so the type of weapon you're gonna use, when you plan on doing it, if it was successful, location, like none of that's classified. If that's not classified information, then why the fuck do we even have? Like, why do we have clearance at this point? Bro, the gaslighting is crazy. And then for y'all to be like, there was no specific plans. Nobody game plan, y'all. Nobody thought it was when it got found out, because Goldberg said he told people at the White House. When it got figured out that he had this information, no one had a group meeting and was like, yo, we should probably figure out how to deal with this before it happens. Wow. I guess that's what happens when you hire Fox fucking News analyst.
And declares they're clean and OPSEC in a text chain read by the editor of The Atlantic, who was inadvertently added to that group. And we'll note a short time later, we have further updates from Michael Waltz, the national security advisor, who talks about how the target has been hit, declaring positive identifications. So these would seem to me, the very definition of attack plans. And I've already talked to a former Pentagon official who says, reading these screenshots hurriedly, of course, everything in here would be classified.
And leading up to that, of course, a lot of debate about it openly on Signal. Joining us now, editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldberg.
But did y'all really need a Pentagon official to confirm that everything in that Signal group would be classified, guys? Did y'all need somebody from the Pentagon to confirm that, or like does common sense kick in at some point?
Jeffrey, would you like to talk a little bit more about the decision to release these?
Well, sure. Well, first of all, we didn't do this lightly. And all yesterday, we were asking our contacts across the administration, national security complex, CIA, DNI, et cetera, do you have any, since the president has declared this unclassified, and since the DNI, since the head of the CIA said there's nothing sensitive or nothing classified in these documents, we just want to make sure that you don't have specific objections to this kind of information going out in public. The White House issued us an anodyne statement late last night saying they think that some of this is sensitive and they would rather not have it out there, but there was no objections to specific details.
See, that's that bullshit. You trying to, so in other words, once again, you had information, you were sitting on it. The only reason you didn't release it low key is because you wrote that you had, like, he literally, the way, if you look at the first article and look at his interviews from yesterday, it was kind of clear that he had enough text messages to back up anything he claimed and had intentions on releasing it. But like, once again, you out here getting permission from the perpetrator. You are the fourth estate, sir. You heard them, all of them were like, nope, it's not classified. It's not classified. It's not competent. It's not classified. Okay, cool. If the DNI says it, if the fucking CIA director says it, okay, fine. Y'all said it, not me. Here you go. But nope. Once again, being a good little fucking lapdog for the empire, had to check in with his bros to make sure that it was okay to let everybody see those messages. That's why I can't respect it. I'm not giving you fucking credit for being accidentally added to a group chat and then sending the messages to the world 2 weeks later just to get attention. He was like, oh yeah, the biggest story here is that there was classified information. The classified information is a big ass deal, but that's not even the biggest part of the story. That's not even the biggest part of the story. It's the lying, you knew in advance that Pete Hegseth had put together a messaging campaign, or was putting together a messaging campaign to lie and intend to deceive the public in order to justify and get support to attack Yemen, because they're trying to do whatever they can to impede the genocide in Gaza. And you didn't do anything with that information. You sat on that shit. I got zero respect for you. As a journalist, as a person, hell, even as a hustler, bro, like even as a finesser, like what? Let me talk about everything after the fact. Like, come on, bro. Yeah. I'm trying to tell you, if I was in that damn chat.
We did redact one piece of information because we felt
I would even like change my initials to like random people like in the chat and just put my opinion, but I not respond to anyone who responds to my opinion. And just to see what the opinions of other people are, and just keep moving to make it hard to follow, but to get more information, like how y'all feel about it, so we can know how everybody felt. Boy, I'm telling you, look,
on our own, that we felt it was best to do, and the CIA asked us. But at a certain point, the administration is saying that there's nothing classified or secret or sensitive in these. So at a certain point, I just felt, let our readers decide for themselves. Read these texts that I got sitting in my car on my phone in a Safeway parking lot 2 hours before the attack launched. And you tell me if this seems like good operational security. And really, I really mean it. Let the readers decide.
Right. And Jonathan Lemire, two issues here. Of course, that Jeffrey was included on this. And there have been accusations made over the airwaves, I believe by Mike Waltz, that there was some sort of foul play on Jeffrey's part. I'd love Jeffrey to respond to that. But also,
Bro, his boy threw him under the bus. That's why, like, let's be real, y'all. That's why he dropped these messages. That's really why he dropped. It's because they threw him under the bus, despite the fact he did everything he could to be a loyal little lapdog. And he's like, yo, I didn't even go hard on y'all. Like I could have, and I still didn't. And like I said, I don't know what Goldberg's goal was, maybe to get more attention, but that just led to him getting exposed. Like I said, like the IDF shit, you being a prison guard, you witnessing prison abuse and not doing anything about it. Like, come on, bro.
the fact that this was on Signal is a big issue as well.
Yeah. So Jeffrey, let's start there. Sure you've heard President of the United States called you a sleazebag. Members of his top officials in his administration used similar terminology to describe you and your reporting here. So first, just respond to that, and we'll go from there.
Well, I mean, it's kind of rude. First, they invite me to their Signal chat, and then they call me names. That doesn't seem right. Yeah, and I've seen these.
You pretend like he ain't salty about that, but that motherfucker's salty about that. He mad.
I mean, I get it. Mike Waltz is looking for the real killer. You know, the simple truth of the matter is, on March 11th, Mike Waltz sent me a message request on Signal, and I accepted it. That's the entire story. I mean, there's no daring do here. But
to be clear, if he accepted it, then he wasn't accidentally added, right? Am I off base here? If you got accidentally added to a group and you don't recognize the group, like I leave immediately, or like I'm like, I don't know these motherfuckers, or I text the person, hey, did you mean to add me to this? Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, if you accepted the invitation from Mike Waltz of all people, then it wasn't an accident. You knew what you were doing, which would even be worse. Like, so you knew you were going to get access to sensitive information. You had access 2 hours beforehand, and you didn't do anything. Hell, even if he had to like do his due diligence to verify and all that stuff, and it took an extra, like he took 3 hours instead of 2 hours before the attack, and he puts out the information as soon as he could after doing all of his due diligence. Like that, I would have even respected that more. But nope, that's not what you did. You punked out, and you made it. Now it's a story about something that happened 2 weeks ago, whenever they admitted if this information would have got out earlier, there's a good chance that everything would have had to be rescheduled, pushed back. The Houthis could have actually protected themselves, protected civilians. Like, just saying.
Entirely passively accepted his request to connect on Signal. I'm not going to comment on my relationship with Mike Waltz. He's been saying unserious and unkind things about me. That's okay. But you know, the story is the story.
Yeah.
March 11th, he reached out. March 13th, I'm added to the Houthi PC small group. March 15th, they announced to the small group before.
Okay, so he says on March 13th, he reached out and then he was added. So like, now it makes you wonder. That's like kind of, he said that really casually, but like, hold on. So like, there's a lead up to this that isn't being discussed either. So he reached out to you. He then added you to a group chat accidentally. You accept it purposely though. You get added accidentally, but accept it purposely. You hang out there to get just enough information. Then you take screenshots of all this super important information. Then you leave the group chat and then inform the White House that you were added, supposedly. And then a week and some change, a little bit more than that later, then you tell everybody, oh yeah, by the way, this is what happened. That sequence of events is a little bit suspect. It's almost like maybe Mike Waltz wanted him to be there, and now he got to save face, right? Because can't let everybody know that you did it on purpose. But maybe something happened where Mike Waltz didn't agree with the decision. I don't know. I can't really, because Mike Waltz look like a bitch. He don't look like he would ever stand up to Trump. So maybe he's like, yeah, I'm about to go ahead. Maybe this will get leaked in. Because they knew American, there is, I don't care how many people pretend to be loyal to Israel. Right? I really don't care, because We all know it's bullshit. The majority of people are not that like excuse me, the most powerful people. The majority of the most powerful people are not loyal to Israel. They are scared of Israel. The caricature of Israel, the country. They're not even scared of Netanyahu necessarily. He is just another puppet who can be removed. A little bit more difficult because this motherfucker is psychopathic, but a puppet nonetheless. They're not scared, or they don't support Israel. They don't even believe necessarily that it's in America's best interest. They're terrified of Israel. And they know that. So maybe Mark Walsh was like, hey man, so I'm gonna put you in this motherfucker. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because maybe they had a conversation beforehand. Hey, try to put this shit off because I'm not trying to have this get thrown on me. I'm really not. This is not a good look. And they're not gonna listen to me. And I can't really say it publicly because Israel, they like taking out people's kids and family members and shit if they can't get to you. And I was at the Diddy parties too. You never know, right? But the lead up is strange because he said that he reached out to him. So, and he said it really casually. Like, I feel like that should be digged into a little bit more, right? I don't know.
The attack occurs, that the attack is occurring and what weapons they're using. And then I began the process of writing up what I thought was a story about a massive security breach at the highest levels of the United States government. That's the story.
Yeah, it is a massive security breach, although I think the one positive here is that readers can decide for themselves. There is
the one positive here, and this is the purpose of journalism, because it's like we discovered something the government was doing that was wrong and dangerous, and they could have responded by saying, "Yeah, we should."
What was it? What was the government doing that was wrong and dangerous? Was it lying about attacking a group trying to impede a genocide after a ceasefire was violated, by the way? Oh no, it was about leaking sensitive. Like, your priorities are fucked. Your priorities are fucked. Like, that's why, like, that's not why you leaked this. Don't give me the journalism stick, bro. Like, that's what journalism for. I did this for journalism. Shut the fuck up.
Shouldn't have been on Signal. We won't do it again.
Right.
That would have been an easy way to deal with this.
It would have been a lot easier than the way they're dealing with it now, because they have a lot of different conflicting stories that they're putting out there. Also, I think trying to defame your character to an extent, and I take issue with that. And Jonathan, on top of it,
so that's his opinion about the situation, and I just got to show y'all some of I'm just gonna let her talk because Jesus Christ, it's embarrassing. It's getting embarrassing, y'all.
I don't want to get into this. Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address. So you're not. Are you denying? Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat.
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you refuse to acknowledge whether you were on this group chat.
Senator, I'm not going to get into the
Why
specifics.
are you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security.
Because it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
Yeah.
As the White House previously
Is it classified or non-classified information on this text?
I can confirm.
Bruh. Come on, bro. What we talking about, Tulsi? You trying to tell me you the director of national fucking intelligence, Tulsi? You the director of national intelligence. And like I said, I didn't really have high hopes for other reasons, not even really. But like, I know for a fact that you're an intelligent human being, to a fault to some degree, because I feel like you know how to manipulate the public in a way that can keep you climbing in the ranks of politics. But you weren't smart enough to, as a DNI, director of national fucking intelligence, to not, like, you did not only not tell them, hey bro, like, don't do this, but you were in the group chat. You were in the group chat. Bruh. You're not inspiring hope. Okay, Tulsi, you're not inspired. People, the ones who still support you, feel like you're really intelligent, that you are commonsensical, that you're gonna, say the right thing and do the right thing in the most pivotal moments. And your ass wasn't just letting these motherfuckers. I mean, and Ratcliffe, obviously, but the CIA, they actually not that smart to begin with. Like, I don't really have any confidence in the CIA at all. I feel like they purposely hired dumb motherfuckers. But you were picked, allegedly, by many people's standards, because you're not dumb. Because you were, despite their disagreements with you, they're like, yo, man, she's intelligent. And you weren't intelligent enough to be like, shit, if y'all need to get in contact with me about this shit, y'all need to email me, dog. And matter of fact, cut this shit off now. Everybody, I'm telling. No, I don't gotta tell. I am the person you tell. Cut it off. That's your job. You're not just there to analyze national intelligence. You're the motherfucking director. You direct shit. Direct these motherfuckers to close the chat. And now after everything has gone down, as a director of national intelligence, while you're being questioned, you're out here kowtowing and dodging. Like, you don't look like you're directing shit. You look like you're being ordered around. You look like you have no control over your intelligence community, over the information being passed that could directly implicate your job in the perception of how you're doing your duty. You look like a deer caught in the fucking headlights. And I can imagine why. Because you were in the group chat as a director of national intelligence guy. Come on, bro. You got Hexet who out here like, nah, we ain't say none of that. And then Goldberg's like, actually, here's all the texts where they said exactly all of this. Tulsi's like, well, it's still in there. Bro, yes. Hey, look, man, it could, we're going to find out. I don't know, but we're going to find out. But the problem is you were in the group chat, so you knew. So you like, there was definitely a fear of committing perjury. That's what the problem was. Because she, like I said, Tulsi's intelligent. She's going to watch her words because she is aware, especially, you got to remember, guys, Tulsi, if I'm not mistaken, she's not been discharged. Like, she didn't leave the military still. Or yet, excuse me. I think she's still reserved. And she might be in the process of transitioning out. I don't know if you're allowed to serve actively while being the director of national. I don't know because of the requirements. So, yeah, she's technically, out of everybody there, she's actually still subject to the laws of UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And the standard is higher, or rather, the bar is lower for her to be prosecuted under UCMJ than everybody else. Ironically, while being the director of national intelligence. And because of her clearance, our top secret security clearance, not only in the military, but as a congresswoman, she knows what's classified and what's not classified and how to handle that information. And she also knows how liable she could personally be if it even got found out she was in the goddamn chat. So, and she knows what it would mean if she got caught committing perjury, potentially. But you're the DNI. Look, there's an article by CBS where now Tulsi and Ratcliffe are defending the fact that they were in a group chat. At Wednesday's hearing, Rep. Jim Himes of Connecticut, top Democrat on the committee, chastised intelligence leaders at the start of the hearing, saying they put lives of troops at risk. Everyone here knows that Russians or the Chinese could have gotten all that information and they could have passed it on to the Houthis, who easily could have repositioned weapons and altered their plans to knock down planes or sink ships. I've said that's a little bit of an extreme. That's assuming that they couldn't have done that if they wanted to before. I'm sure they don't want to just like go to straight war with the U.S. Navy, but like it's like a little bit of exaggeration. Whatever, cool. Gabbard acknowledged that the conversation was sensitive, but denied that classified information was shared in the chat. She says that there were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared. She told lawmakers. Ladies and gentlemen, based off of what I read earlier, based off of what you heard in that interview, do y'all feel like there were no methods, locations, war plans that were shared? Do y'all feel like literally naming the jets and the weapon systems? Wouldn't that be considered a method? You feel like the locations that were literally mentioned, like you feel like that might be a location, or the plans that were planned? He's like, there were no war plans. Yeah, Houthis fucking group chat. We about to blow these niggas up chat. Like, what the fuck? The chat was basically, hey man, these are the plans that we making to bomb the Houthis. What the fuck? You're the DNI. You're the DNI. You are the DN Director of National Intelligence. At a certain point, Tulsi, like, it's you just posted this, hey, I'm about to bow out. Y'all got me fucked up. I'm not about to get cut up with y'all. But then after, what's crazy is, as the Director of National Intelligence, knowing that you are going to be under fire once this shit hits the fan, and it is going to, because I mean, this is a sleaze bag, right? This is a sleaze ball. We know, you gotta know Goldberg was about to leak this shit or drop this. He's just that type of person based off of his history. Okay, you didn't think as a Director of National Intelligence it would behoove you to hold a meeting about, once again, just a game plan. Hey guys, this shit's gonna come down the pipeline. We gotta get on the same page. No, you got her saying, well, investigation. Well, there's no classified information. Nope, there were no plans. Headset saying there were no plans, and other people saying, well, things were discussed, but it was sensitive, not classified. Then it's like Pentagon officials are like, nah, motherfucker, that shit was classified. Yeah, people could have died. Then Trump is in his own world. What are you talking about? To me, the Atlantic magazine is going out of business. Like, what are y'all on? What is happening? And this is a fucking train wreck of an administration, and I'm tired of MAGA pretending like it's not.